Greetings everyone, and welcome to the Codesultant channel. In this continuation of our discussion on grounding and bonding for a separately derived system, we will now delve into the rules governing the supply-side bonding jumper, as outlined in section 250.30 A2 of the Electrical Code. Without further ado, let's dive right into this important topic and enhance our understanding of the requirements surrounding the supply-side bonding jumper. 250.30 A2 Supply-side bonding jumper. If the source of a separately derived system and the first disconnecting means are located in separate enclosures, a supply-side bonding jumper shall be installed with the circuit conductors from the source enclosure to the first disconnecting means. A supply-side bonding jumper shall not be required to be larger than the derived ungrounded conductors. The supply-side bonding jumper shall be permitted to be of non-flexible metal raceway type or the wire or bus type as follows. For instance, in a scenario with a generator and its disconnect housed in separate enclosures, the bonding jumper links the generator to the circuit breaker. In case of a ground fault, the supply-side bonding jumper serves as a current path during ground fault conditions. The bonding jumper is necessary to enable enough current to return to the source to clear a ground fault regardless of where it occurs. It must be installed together with the circuit conductors and does not require a size larger than the ungrounded conductors. Moreover, the supply-side bonding jumper can be either a non-flexible metal raceway, wire, or bus type. For a wire-type bonding jumpers, it must adhere to Table 250.102 C, which governs not just sizing for system bonding jumpers but also for grounded conductors and main bonding jumpers. When ungrounded phase conductors exceed certain sizes, 1100 kcmil copper or 1750 kcmil aluminum, the bonding jumper must adhere to the 12.5% rule as outlined in Note 1. For sample calculations, you can watch my previous video related to the sizing of grounded conductors. While for bus-type bonding jumpers, it must have a cross-sectional area equal to or greater than wire types as per Table 250.102 C. Furthermore, this section also allowed non-flexible metal raceway, such as rigid metal conduit, intermediate metal conduit, IMC, or electrical metallic tubing, can be used as a supply-side bonding jumper because it provides a stable and continuous metal pathway for grounding and bonding purposes. This ensures reliable electrical continuity and an effective fault current path during ground fault conditions. Flexible metal conduit, on the other hand, may not be permitted for use as a supply-side bonding jumper because its flexibility can compromise the integrity of the bonding path. Flexible conduits may not maintain continuous metal-to-metal contact, especially when bent or flexed, which could impede the flow of fault current and potentially compromise safety. Additionally, the sizing and cross-sectional area of the flexible metal conduit may not be suitable for providing an adequate fault current path. Using non-flexible metal raceways as supply-side bonding jumpers has potential disadvantages to consider. Loose connections over time can compromise the bonding path and limit fault current capacity. Corrosion can degrade the continuity of the bonding jumper. Mechanical damage can disrupt the bonding jumper. To mitigate these issues, ensure proper installation and periodic inspection for loose connections and corrosion. Use bonding bushings or double lock nuts to maintain reliable connections. Choose corrosion-resistant materials like stainless steel. Provide physical protection for the raceway to prevent damage. Addressing these factors can help maintain the safety and continuity of the supply-side bonding jumper. Section 250.30 A2 Exception. The exception states that a supply-side bonding jumper shall not be required between enclosures if the installation complies with 250.30 A1 Exception number 2. Exception number 2 in 250.30 A1 applies specifically to outdoor separately derived systems. It specifies that if a building or structure is powered by a feeder connected to such a system bonding jumper can be installed at both the source of the separately derived system and the first disconnecting means. However, this installation is permissible only if it does not establish a parallel path for the grounded conductor. In this context, a supply-side bonding jumper is unnecessary because it would create a parallel current path for the grounded conductor. Therefore, exception number 2 in 250.30 A2 allows for the omission of the supply-side bonding jumper under the conditions outlined in exception number 2 of 250.30, A1. Thank you all for watching.